Joining us today is David Mack, a seasoned front-end developer who helped shape the digital experience for millions of users at Amwell. With a rare blend of design sensitivity and technical depth, David brings over 16 years expertise in scalable UI, including React component development and creative problem solving. David, welcome to the podcast.
Paul, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being able to share my experience on your platform.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this conversation. So, I guess, what moment in your career has taught you the most?
Well, when I first started out my career, I thought that I could really build it around a single technology. I was using Flash. I figured if I mastered that, that would be the go-to thing that would just take me off. I could just ride it into the sunset. And things changed. HTML5 came out, and responsive mobile design, they just overshadowed it. And I had to make a decision. I had to decide if I was going to stay on with the diehards and ride it out to the end, or if I was going to jump ship and learn that new tech stack. And ultimately, I went with the latter. Smartest thing I ever did. Glad I got out early because I was able to learn that, harness that new stack, and apply it towards some of the current projects we were working on at Amwell. So yeah, what it really taught me was that you got to pay attention to industry standards.
That's a really important point. And I know everybody's talking about AI today, but it's how you embrace it that is really going to be the differentiators. And you had that same exact kind of concern years ago. Should I stay with this language versus that language? And it is a critical decision that we all have to make at different points in our career. So I'm thrilled that you made it the way you did. When your colleagues or team members describe you, what three words do they consistently use?
Well, I'd say consistently, I hear that I'm reliable. When I take on a project or a task, the person who gives it to me, my team, they know that I'm going to deliver it. It's going to be there with no excuses, no drama. I'd also say that I'm very detail oriented. I've heard that several times from my colleagues. I make sure that the project isn't just done, it's done right, it's done well. I make sure that all the bugs are squashed and it's thoroughly documented. And the third thing I would probably say is that I'm flexible. I'm able to pivot on different projects and technologies and requirements as they appear. So that's been an asset for me as well. And just recently, I was able to work on a small contract project with a former colleague. And it wasn't because they didn't reach out to me because it was something that I knew and I had experience with. It was something that they knew from me from my previous working with them. And they could rely on those three factors that I just mentioned. And I'm really happy to report that we did get that project done on time, on budget, and to the delight of the client.
That's outstanding. Outstanding. Outside of your professional achievements, what passion project or personal interest has taught you skills that make you better at what you do?
Well, one of my favorite hobbies is microcontroller programming and electronics. I'm an amateur hobbyist, but it's something that I just really lose myself in when I have the time. I started with an Arduino starter kit many years ago, just flashing LEDs and making motors turn. It's very rewarding to actually program something and then to see the results in a physical manifestation instead of just on the screen. So that gives me a lot of pleasure, and it also helps me with critical thinking and project planning. And those are skills that I can apply to my day job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about a mentor?
Yes. When I first started at Amwell, when it was just a startup back in 2008, I was hired by Omar Lyles, who at the time was the VP of visual design. He took me on as his Flash developer. And I've learned so much about presenting myself professionally and just having super high standards. When you work with Omar, that you're going to be nudged out of your comfort zone. And that's a good thing because the results that you come up with working along with him, they're going to be spectacular. You're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but ultimately when that product gets shipped, you're going to have something that you can point to your portfolio with a lot of pride.
People like that are such great leaders as well. So I think that's fantastic. What book or podcast has influenced you?
I would say that the book 10% Happier came along at the right time for me. And this is a book by Dan Harris. And Dan Harris at the time was an ABC News anchor who unfortunately had a panic attack during a live broadcast. Yeah. So he wrote a lot about his experience, what led up to it, and how he dealt with it moving on. And it's something that I think about a lot. In his case, he was almost the culmination of the way he felt about himself, being inadequate, dealing with imposter syndrome, which I think a lot of us can relate to from time to time. And he just was able to work through it with meditation, a lot of self-reflection. And I've also added keeping a journal of accomplishments. I think that really is helpful moving forward.
Great stuff. It's something I think we all need to be able to handle, because there's so many times where I'm not sure that I really understand why, and the imposter syndrome is a term these days. We've all had that feeling of they're going to find out that I'm not as good as I think I am,
Right.
or as I think they think I am. But it's such an important thing to be able to handle. If you could spend a day learning anything from anyone, living or historical, who would that be and why?
Tom Igo. Tom is a founding member of the Arduino development platform, is the head of the interactive telecommunications program over at NYU. And his work, whenever I watch any of his video lectures on the blending of technology, electronics, and art with creative expression, it just blows me away. I'm so inspired. Watching him and the way he delivers, it makes me just want to drop what I'm doing, pick up my soldering iron, and just start making something. So it's just, he's incredibly inspiring, and just someone I would love to be a fly on the wall in his classroom.
That's fascinating. As a fellow soldering iron geek myself, I love that idea. What do you see as the future of the industry?
Well, there's no doubt that right now it's an exciting time to be a developer. It's not without its challenges, though. Technology is doing what technology has always done. It's making things faster and cheaper and better, some would say. And AI is only just making this cycle happen faster and faster. So it's a challenge keeping up with it. It's a challenge knowing what to put your time and energy in, what's going to be next. I'd like to avoid another flash situation if I can, but what I'm doing to mitigate that is to just surround myself with an ecosystem instead of a single technology. And I really think that the developers who are going to survive this sort of transition we're in right now are the ones who are going to bring their deep technical experience, and they're going to combine that with adaptability, and that will get us through this. I've seen it with that Flash to HTML5 transition.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know that bringing just your flexibility and your experience will get you through.
Mm-hmm. I think you're completely right. And I think the companies that are going to survive are the ones that are going to be able to take that same mindset and find the people like you that great background and are ready and able to take on these new challenges to bridge the gap, to say, okay, here's where we're going. Here's how we can take that experience and put it to use for the company in this new world. And I think that's going to be a great asset for you and for the next company that you find. So thank you so much for joining us today. I think this was fascinating.
Oh, thank you very much, Paul. I really, it was a pleasure for me.
Excellent.
MTMG, guidance that empowers.